tell me why this eviction was filed?
Due to non-payment.
On payment. All right, is there a written lease between the parties?
Yes.
How much under the lease is the monthly rent?
2750.
Is that due every month?
Correct.
All right. Is there any portion of that that's subsidized directly to you by the government?
No.
What months of rent remain unpaid?
A portion of December and
How much is
January.
how much is still owed for December?
For December, 1828 is still remaining.
1828 for December, and then
2750 for January.
all right. Does your property fall under the Federal CARES Act?
I don't believe so.
When did you give the notice to vacate?
8th of December.
All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Astrotta.
Hi.
Thanks for being here. Mr. Mahari says that he had a lease with you and that the case is being filed about non-payment, which is the most common reason I hear these things. It's no fun. I recognize non-payment matters, but it's, better than other types of allegations. I'll just highlight that. All right. Is it correct that the monthly rent's $27.50?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And then he says there's a balance remaining from December and that January's not been paid yet. Is that also correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, with that information, landlord wins the case today. What I do is give you final numbers and then timelines, but immediately, any questions you already know you want to ask me or any information you wanted to give me?
So the eviction is filed for unpaid December rent. But I wanted to dispute that because on December 1st, I had paid $922, which is what was already discussed between me and the two other parties that are on the lease, that I make my portion separately. So he had acknowledged and accepted that payment in writing whenever I had sent it to him. So there wasn't any rejection, and I didn't have any notice that the amount was insufficient before a notice to vacate was issued. So because I am on a joint lease with two other parties, Manny and Sarah, they had later abandoned the property, but the lease was never amended, and I wasn't served with like a new written demand stating that I was now solely responsible for the full amount before the eviction proceedings had began. Um,
No.
so before like any formal notice, the landlord had asked me to voluntarily vacate, which was based on unverified allegations from my roommates. So it wasn't for non-payment. And then it was only after that, when I didn't leave, the landlord filed for an eviction and labeled it as quote unquote unpaid December rent, even though payment had been made and accepted. So I just wanted to say that
Okay. All right. Let me get some information. Mr. Strada, you're on a lease, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Does the lease list you and other people?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Are they still tenants?
No, they had abandoned the lease.
All right. Why are they not a part of this lawsuit?
I
Mr.
don't know. I don't know why it's just me.
I'm asking Mr. Mahari. If you have
They
three tenants on the lease, why you're only evicted one? Can't those two still come back in?
no, they cannot. They voluntarily vacated the premises.
I'm not your lawyer, but I definitely. Anyway. All right. Does the lease require that all three be joint severally liable?
Yes.
At any point, did you in writing agree to accept less rent from the defendant?
So there was an ongoing altercation where Joshua wasn't making his portion of payment, and it was more to avoid the other tenants getting penalized because it was, 2 months of him not paying on time or not paying at all where they had to cover him. And so it was more of a, they were paying through rent spree. And just basically broke it down of saying, hey, just so you guys don't can avoid this altercation and you guys can stay together, I'm happy to take separate payments from Joshua and you guys just make that payment on your own. Now, there was nothing, we didn't make any edits into the agreement or anything like that. It was just more to, get in the way and avoid any further altercations between the tenants, and to make it easier on the other tenants that were paying on time every month.
Here's my question. Mr. Mahari, did you allow three defendants to pay you three separate ways for the one rent?
No.
Okay, but you let the defendant here today, Mr. Estrada, pay separately
For the month of December.
for the month of December. And that's why there's a partial payment.
Correct.
But you did not require the other two people on the lease to pay that rent?
I did require that.
So why are you suing him for that if they paid?
One, it's a joint payment that's supposed to be made.
Exactly. That's what I'm asking. If it's a joint several lease, you can't pick and choose to just sue him for the remainder. So why are they not all three here?
Right. So I did serve them to vacate because of non-payment, and they decided
I'm not talking about the eviction.
Uh-huh.
They're not here in the eviction that you filed when you got a lease that says all three of their names on it, right?
Right.
Okay, I'm looking at your lease. It's got all three of them. He's listed twice. So if you only got paid 1/3 of the lease, why are you only suing him?
Because he's the only one that's still in the property.
That's not how that works, Mr. Mahari. Did you allow the other two to vacate?
I did.
Then I don't see that he owes you any rent for that month. He's still there for January. Have you paid anything for January, Mr. Astrotta?
No, ma'am, I was waiting until all of this had rolled out before I gave any amount.
All right. Well, you got to pay for January. You've already missed your rent on that one. But you tried a notice because you didn't pay the full month of December. But in December, you agreed to accept less. You only wanted him to pay, and he paid. You didn't make the other two people pay, correct?
No, I asked them to. They didn't.
But you're not evicting them.
I did evict them.
You're not a part of the lawsuit.
I didn't understand that I had to also include them into the hearing if they already vacated the premises.
All right. You want the remainder of December, and you want it prorated for January.
I'm just asking for my property back, Your Honor.
I understand that. I understand that. Well, for January, I get $88.70 a day, right? If I take the $27.50 and I divide it into 31, I'm getting $88.70 a day. And so December he paid. You didn't demand that the other two pay because they left. You called it a day on that one, but he's still there for January. Does he become responsible? Yeah, under the lease he would be. All right. So for 88 and 70, today is the 13th, 1153. So when I look at your notice to him, the notice is to all three.
Correct.
And this is the notice you put on the door?
Correct.
Is that the only way you gave it to them?
Yes.
Did you do any research on how to serve a notice to vacate as the landlord before you served it?
I did.
And did it explain to you what to do if you're going to do it on the door like that?
Well, I'm not currently resident of Austin, and so I had someone knock on the door to hand it over, but they weren't there.
Yeah, and so that person put it on the door in that envelope you sent me a photo of?
Right. And
That's
there was also an email.
Email doesn't count under Texas law until this
Right.
year, and you're following under the old rules. So here's issues, y'all. I'm going to point out some things. When I look at what you sent me as your evidence, your notice to vacate was served wrong. You can't do it that way. I'm looking at the envelope. Y'all took a photo, and I like that. Unfortunately, took a photo of the fact that he didn't write in important documents. Now, I understand that people think that's a tricky rule, but it's very clearly delineated in the property code, and it doesn't change until January of this year. And you filed your case in December, so you're stuck under the old rules. Okay, Mr. Mahari? There's an issue with your notice. I see that immediately, and I'm just looking at it right now. Defendant's not really arguing about that. His position, though, is that he thought he was paid in full. And in fact, his response is, I'm only paying $890 for the agreed amount previously. And then you accepted that, but your notice to him says that you still owe me the rent. And I don't think that that's true versus what I've heard today.
So there were multiple attempts of me reaching out and to inform him of that. There was no communication on his end. But I see, I understand what you're saying.
The notice you gave him, even if I ignore the defects in how it was served, right? We look at that. We look at the substance of it. The notice itself says you're behind on the rent for the amount of $18.28. And that notice is to him, Lambert, and Valdez.
Correct.
They're not here, despite being a part of the lease and being a part of the notice. And he paid his portion, which you testified, and he said y'all agreed he could just pay his portion. So is he really in violation with that notice? Right. You're in violation due to non-payment. I mean, that's true. They had not paid it. Had you waived that? But then no one paid anything for January.
No. The other two tenants, once I provided the eviction notice, they did
They
leave
moved.
they moved it.
They vacated. Let me take that under advisement. All right, meaning I can't give y'all an answer right now. I want to look a little bit more about that one because I'll give y'all an answer within 24 hours, okay? I will email you a copy of the order from the court. As a result of me taking more time to give you a decision, your appeal deadline will not start running until I have issued a decision. So if I give you an answer tomorrow, your appeal time starts the day after that. You do not include the date on which I actually signed the paperwork. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Okay, so just for both parties, be aware of that. When I give you my order for both parties, I will put down an appeal bond on it. I want to check a little bit about, is that notice still sufficient? All right. Any questions, Mr. Mahari or Mr. Estrada?
I did want to say that like I like this whole situation, the way that like my roommates had like abandoned the lease and stuff. I had like suffered like job loss, and it wasn't even that I had like ever refused to pay because I had paid. It was just like later on after I was coming up with alternate forms of income. The second time that I have been late on my payment to them when they had to cover me was was a pause for like my unemployment and stuff, but I've never to do so. Um, I just wanted that to be known, but I just didn't feel like this situation has been very fair in my sense because
Mr. Estrada, I don't find that it's often ever fair.
uh-huh.
The law is not really about being fair, right? I
Yeah,
mean, Mr. Mahari's point is that if he would moved out with the other two, we wouldn't even be here. He wants his land back.
yes, ma'am. I
Right?
understand.
The eviction is wholly about property.
Mhm.
Most landlords throw the case out and don't even pursue the money once they get back their land. You're still in possession.
Yes, ma'am. It's because
Okay.
I signed the contract until July, so I haven't made arrangements to do so. Like I don't have family or like
I
resources.
appreciate that. All right. Case is under advisement. I will issue y'all a ruling within 24 hours.
You got it. Thank
Okay.
you.
All parties are excused. Thank you very much.
Bye.